Hello everyone. In this video, I'll go through 10 Unity tips that not many people know about, but that's very useful and that I use quite often. Let's dive right in with the first tip. A classic if-else operator like this takes up a lot of space and can make your code look bad. For simple operations, you should instead use a so-called ternary operator. It looks like this and does the exact same thing while looking a lot cleaner. If you want a script to run while in edit mode, you can add the execute in edit mode attribute at the top and change from a start function to a wake. If we now go to the editor and assign the script to an object, you'll see that the script has been executed without being in play mode. Sometimes you might have to put a lot of elements into an array, like in this example where I have a lot of prefabs inside a folder that I'd like to use in an array. Instead of painstakingly putting them all in by hand, you can use something called resources.loadAll. To start, go into the script and in the start function, write this line. Put a string inside the parenthesis containing the name of the folder you have the elements in. Back in the editor, we'll create a folder named Resources. Put the folder of prefabs in there. Then I'll name the folder path variable the same as the folder with the prefabs, which in my case is objects. Finally, if we now play it, you can see that all the prefabs are in the array. When you change the name of a variable, it can be very annoying having to individually change it everywhere it's used. A better way to rename a variable is to hover over it, then hit Ctrl+R+R and typing in the new name. That will change its name everywhere it's referenced. It works for functions as well, as you can see here. Here's some code for instantiating a lot of game objects at random positions. In the editor, you can see that the objects take up quite a lot of space in the hierarchy and it looks really cluttered. In this case, I don't need them to show up in the hierarchy. It's actually pretty easy to hide them. We just need to go into the script, then type this line. Object.hideFlags equals hideflags.hide in hierarchy. That's all. Now back in the editor, you can see that the objects are all gone in the hierarchy. I need to place out a lot of grass objects in a scene and I'm too lazy to write a script for it. What do? Instead of manually placing them out, there's actually a quick way you can do it right from the inspector. Just select all objects and write this in the X and Z position fields. R-15, 15. Now the objects will be randomly spaced out across those coordinates. Here comes a tip for cleaning up your code. You can divide your code into different sections using regions. At the start of the section, type #region then the name, in this case, variables. Then go down to where you want the region to end and type #endRegion like this. Now you can click the little minus icon at the left side to minimize the section. Let's do this for the rest of the code. You can now hide the parts that you don't need to focus on. Here's a script with a switch that makes a comment based on what day the string is set to. If we go into the editor and run it, you can see it works. However, if I accidentally misspell the day, nothing's going to happen since none of the switch cases are true. We can prevent this using an enum. Let's see how it works. To start with, make a new enum. Then type all the different options in like this. Now, we can change the string to a day of the week enum variable. All the days in the switch statement will now be highlighted. We can fix that by replacing it with day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, and so on. In the inspector, there's now options to select from instead of you having to type it in. Much better. And it works just like before. You might know that you can calculate the distance between two objects using vector 3-dot distance. Although you might also know that it's pretty slow and can impact frame rate. A faster way to do it is to calculate the distance manually. Replace vector 3-dot distance with these two lines. The offset variable will measure the distance between the objects as a vector 3. Then the squared distance turns it into a float. Now, for the last tip, this is a quick one. You probably knew that it's possible to go to an object in the scene view by hitting the F key, like this. Although, did you know that you can also follow a moving object with Shift plus F?